life of a mega nerd, baby. We doing things and we making it happen, right? From the trash 80 to a black Mercedes, no one can stop us now, cause we're keeping it nerdy nice. This is the life of a mega nerd, baby. We doing things and we making it happen, right? From the trash 80 to a black Mercedes, no one can stop us now, cause we keeping it nerdy nice.
Welcome back to Ready Player U. I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And our special guest today,
Ron Mcpherson. Oh my gosh, who is this masked man?
I love it. Can't believe we got down here. We saw you on Instagram coming down here to F22 Studios, where you're doing lights and film and training and photography. And how did you get started? What got you into doing this in the first place?
You know, I picked up a camera when I was in high school and I just never put it down. Just always been filming, always been a storyteller, always been intrigued with the tools that storytellers use, like cameras, microphones, lighting, and you know, how to use those tools to tell the stories that really affect people. You know, when we say affect people, like it could be a love story, it could be a horror movie and a real roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
It could be something that is emotional that people learn from. So having the sort of power and ability to be able to tell those stories that affect people in a positive way or take them on a fun ride was really appealing to me.
Now, was like maybe writing? I mean, because, you know, without, you know, what you may have the imagination to do all this stuff, but I mean, you got to be able to write and have, you know, the ideas to, you know, come. Did that ever, you know, be something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's true. It's a really good point. Writing became a really important part of what I do because things have to be strategically written to be on schedule, on budget, for us to be able to make our day, to be able to have something that's not only looks good, but is achievable to shoot. You know, I always joke about like saying, well, the script looks great, but I'm not sure how we're gonna do the car chase with the helicopters and the, you know, like, are we gonna get that today? You know?
Yeah, pie in the sky dreams.
Right. So again, like, I don't wanna limit myself, but the idea is more to empower myself by being able to write things that we're not locked into. We're like, well, it says that you have a tank in the shot. Where are we gonna get a tank? Like, and now we're like all banging our heads trying to figure out where are we gonna get a tank?
You make adjustments where you need to.
So the ability to be able to either be the writer or partner with the writer, where you're able to say, hey, that scene with the tank, yeah, we're gonna have to change the tank to something else.
It's now going to be a shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a shark, right?
Yeah.
Something impossible.
Right.
Gone are the days of holding the Star Trek Enterprise upside down on a fishing wire and flipping the camera over or something.
Right.
You know?
Well, and you know, it's funny because I was also very much into models and miniatures and airbrushing and just, you know, special effects was how I started. I started in special makeup effects and sort of graduated into cinematography.
Right.
But I started with photography. Photography was the sort of gateway for storytelling. And, you know, being able to be around during the transition of film to digital was another milestone.
Right.
You know, it was crazy to think back. Like, remember, we used to shoot on film, and we still do. Some of us, a few of us. Just
Yeah,
a few.
because the possibilities seem limitless until you hit your limit and then new technology, and then you're like, oh, the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, but then
Yes.
you have directors like Kevin Smith. He sticks with the same format for. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, of course, it changed throughout the years, but he still keeps it, you know.
Exactly. I
Pretty
mean, Rick
basic.
Baker, Monster Maker, he started out with a homemade kit and all that stuff, and now he was, you know, American Werewolf in Paris and things like that. What are some of the projects that you had an absolute joy to do, a nightmare to do, would love to do a sequel to?
Yeah, gosh, there's so many that come to mind. You know, speaking of Rick Baker was a huge inspiration for me. I've had a few moments just through social media to do Q&A sessions with him or be involved in something that, you know, he was speaking about. And Rick, as you know, he got really into 3D printing at one point.
Yeah.
And
following him on Instagram, he's got an amazing profile.
Yes, yes. So, you know, 3D printing, speaking of new technology, was a big game changer, you know, and now they have 3D printers that do color. And I've seen some people like Fawn Davis over at Fonco Studios has 3D color printers that prints translucent color. So literally you can see translucency as if it was hand painted, which is just miraculous and awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, you know, a lot of the productions that I choose at this point in my career are my favorites. So the last show or last project that I did oftentimes becomes my favorite because that's the best I've been at that point in my life, in my career. And I get a little bit better each time, each project, I get a little bit better. So I'm always looking at the last thing I did, and that's sort of my favorite thing. But then it changes the moment I do another project because I've somehow topped that idea or grown more, you know?
You know, and that's it's kind of like me too, because, you know, for our show, you know, I'm doing most of the writing, and I mean, sometimes, you know, the episode's not that great, but I do have favorites. I'm like, okay, so I was trying to do, okay, where can I work on it, you know, try and make it better and top myself, and him too, you know, production and make sure it sounds right.
Yeah.
You know, we challenge ourselves too.
Yeah. The reason we're sitting here with this soundboard is because when we started, it sounded like absolute ass. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I can't deal with that. I gotta have quality over quantity. And then we invested in another one and another one and another one. I was like, nope, that's it. We can't do Bluetooth calling with this. We can't do 4 microphones. We can't do remote interviews. We can't record on the fly. And now we're like here doing this.
Yeah, well, it all starts with good sound. Good, clean audio is so important. So, you know, you've made a great investment, definitely the right choice. I always tell, when I'm teaching filmmaking, I do filmmaking workshops and I mentor people that are looking to be directors, cinematographers, producers, storytellers. One of the things I tell them is get good, clean sound, because people, an audience will forgive an out of focus shot. If it's out of focus for a second or it's a little shaky or something, audience will forgive that for a second or two or so, but they won't forgive bad sound. Bad sound will take them right out of the story.
All right, so, you know, like, and as being a filmmaker and stuff, now, do you have favorite movies that you know, enjoy watching that you go back and watch like 100 times, but you'll catch new things and maybe use that for maybe another future film or something like that?
I do. I have a lot of favorite movies that are kind of like, you know, there's movies that we all have that are like therapeutic for us to watch. You know, if you just put that movie on, you just feel better.
Yeah.
Definitely Back to the Future is one of them. Jurassic Park, Star Wars, the first 3 Star Wars, any of the original Star Wars stuff is great. Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of my all-time favorites. And Jaws, of course, Jaws is classic. You know, and what's funny is, you know, as a film mentor, there's a new generation of people that have not seen those movies. They weren't around when those movies came out. They don't know anything about those movies. Like a lot of people, you know, like I've had a lot of people say, Robert De Niro, is he the guy from, oh yeah, Meet the Parents? And you know, and I'm like,
they don't know, you know, Devil's Advocate or anything like that, or
they weren't here.
Let alone the format that video came out on at the time.
Right. So there's a few people that have went back and did the research and watched some of these films, and it's the same thing. Like even for our generation, you know, there's older films. I had a ton of people that were 10 or 15 years older than me that were like, "What do you mean you haven't seen this?" You know, and like, you've got to see Casablanca, or you've got to see, you know, that Elvis movie or whatever it was. So, you know, each generation, we're sort of catching up the other generation.
That's true.
It's like, remember when 3D movies came back into fashion and it was all about 3D, and everybody that went through the 60s and 70s went, this is nothing new. You know, But the studios know, from a marketing standpoint, they know, hey, new generation, they have not experienced this way before. And now that we have more technology, we can make that experience better. So if it worked, a decade or two ago, chances are it'll work again now,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that some movies, they'll have all this CGI, all this new production, and then there's a movie that comes out that's a box office hit, and they're like, how did you do it? He goes, I went back to the old school trade ways before CGI, and it worked.
Right.
It's a refreshing look at it.
There's these common sayings that in the filmmaking world where filmmakers will often say things like, we've got this great script and it's going to be cheap to shoot. It all takes place in one location. That's like that's the line.
Yeah.
And there's these movies like, Saw and obviously Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch, all these movies that came out that were like, hey, there was only $7,000 or whatever it was to film that. And
there's a reason.
And it made this much money. Those movies, there's only a handful of those movies, and they only happen ever so often.
Yeah.
They're what I call the lucky lotto winners.
Clerks.
Clerks, exactly.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith, I love his movies. I mean,
Yeah.
he's definitely, part of my, definitely top 5 favorite directors, Spielberg, Mel Brooks.
Right.
So.
Ron McPherson.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're not shining your shoes here, but we do appreciate being able to talk to somebody in the business and be down here checking out how the ins and outs. You putting me on a camera
That's right.
What his name was? He was like, I said, hey. He goes, hey, did you guys want to get on a camera? I'm like, dude, I didn't sign. I didn't do anything. He goes, I put a little extra in to get. I'm like, but I'm gonna fuck something up. I'm gonna break something. I don't want to do this. This is a lot different than holding a camera from my high school and filming my buddy skateboarding, and then it breaks. It costs more than my truck.
And then 90 seconds later, there he is at the camera, like, no problem, right? Nah, no problem.
Yeah, I noticed Matt was filming over there. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What am I doing over here?
Well, and that's the reason, one of the big reasons why I like to do the workshops, the film mentorships, and it's to create a safe space where filmmakers and storytellers can come and they can learn and they can, we are all intimidated to some degree when it comes to equipment or like, oh my God, there's Spielberg, there's always going to be that. Or even for me, like technology is changing so fast, there's cameras that I walk up to frequently and I'm like, gosh, where did they put the, and I have to ask for help.
Yeah.
Even I don't know, and I don't claim to know everything. That's the beauty of what we do, is that technology is changing so quickly. We're constantly growing and trying to stay up with that technology.
Yeah.
And how do we use these tools in storytelling, And going back to what we said earlier, chances are people that are making these films are not, like the person that made Saw, as an example, they probably didn't say, you know why this is going to be a hit? Because it's all shot in one location. They probably that probably wasn't a thing, but it became a thing after the fact. After the fact, every filmmaker that saw that movie scratched their head and said, well, wait a minute, that was all in one location. Well, we could do that. And that'll save money. And, and it becomes...
Trying to recreate magic is...
And it's great that it's inspiring.
Sometimes intangible, but...
Yeah, it's nice that, hey, somebody did it at that level that made it into the theaters. That's proof that shows, like, it is possible.
It can be done,
It can be done. And then years pass, that doesn't happen again, and another one hits. And, so there's generally time in between these lucky lotto winners of these things happening,
Until that actually happens, usually you just rely on Spielberg to remembering something.
Yeah.
And I know I did like how he was saying, like the first 3 Star Wars, Jaws. Just last night, we did a whole episode on John Williams. and he did the scores for most of those movies that you had just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Spielberg heard him and saw what he could do, he goes, I picked nobody else after that. When you find your groove or your guy, or he just gets you, or you meet somebody and you instantly have this rapport, this connection, this bond, and you're just like, that's it. We're going with this forever.
I believe he worked on all of his movies except for like 4 or 5. So, I mean, anything that Spielberg's done, he worked on. So,
John Williams is amazing. I think I saw an interview, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was E.T. that Spielberg said that it just wasn't cutting together with the score as well as he had liked. And he actually changed the cut of the movie to work with the score, which was, I guess, a first and a big deal.
Yeah.
That, hey, actually, forget about the script and the story.
Yeah.
We're going to make it work for the score, And I think I think it was E.T., if I remember correctly, was the movie that he ended up reshaping the edit.
And George Lucas is the one that introduced him to Spielberg, because they worked on Star Wars, and then.
And now those guys are best friends.
Yeah.
And they pay homage to each other in their movies. You'll
Yeah,
see watch
that too.
E.T. and you'll see the Star Wars thing, or you'll watch Star Wars, you'll see E.T. and like when they're floating in that the Senate.
Oh yeah, in
vote
the
and all
Senate.
that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to what we talked about, sound. Sound design, sound, music.
Yeah.
Everything is, resting on the foundation of sound. And, like John Williams, shoot, you could put John Williams' score to almost any footage and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I've seen things like that. They're like they'll have a certain song, and you can't find any 80s intro movie that doesn't fit to this song, and then people are watching and they're doing the reels and they're like, holy shit, he's right. It fits. It's so well written. It fits in time and everything.
It's true.
Yeah.
And just to jump back to the film mentorships and creating a safe space, I know, I can say this now, I know for a fact that a lot of the filmmakers that are out there that are trying to make a living at it, making a living at it in some shape or form, there's a lot of challenges that come with that. And a lot of those challenges are, sure, show me what you got, or sure, after you first, and it's not, it's more of a competition more than a collaboration. So like you said, when you do meet your people and you have your team, people that you can really collaborate with, really create with, and you're not competing with, that becomes the big difference. And that's where the growth and the acceleration, that's where movies get made, is when you find that group. It's like I used to have a couple of Red cameras, and people would come over and they'd say, man, if I had these cameras, I'd be shooting all the time. And I would always think to myself, but not really, because you need so much more than just these cameras, Also, just rambling off some random tips here for filmmakers. I always encourage people, get a good-looking cast. We're like 8K now,
Yeah.
Get a good-looking cast. Get people that the camera loves, that look great on camera. When you surround yourself with the right people and the right equipment, it just makes the job so much easier. That's why, like today at the workshop, I brought some actors. Just because I know when they step in front of camera and they switch on, man, it works. I'm in the theater. I'm watching a movie at that point.
Yeah, just from watching it, I mean, it was entertaining how they were ad-libbing and just, just going whatever. And it was just like, it was working too.
There was at some point when they're bantering back and forth, and I'm like, and then you said cut, and I'm like, oh, I totally believed I was watching a married couple argue right now.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
exactly.
totally it.
I'm not in my living room.
I was out of my element there for a minute. I totally forgot where I was. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're really going to get into it right now. And then you cut, oh, shit, that's right.
See, that's great. Well, I'm thank you for saying that. It happens to me at the camera as a cinematographer especially if I've got like an eyepiece and I've got my eye, I'm in the eyepiece and it's just completely all about that image.
Yeah.
And
it's isolated view at that point.
Yeah. And literally until they say cut, you are like teleported to another dimension.
That's what it felt like, yeah.
You know,
but
I mean,
being behind the scenes and seeing the redos and the retakes and hey, let's try it like this and the movement of the cameras, and I'm like, this is a damn career.
Right.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because before we got into doing this, I was like, oh, we could film it and we'll just upload it. That's easy. And then I filmed with his cousin Juan, who's in a band, and we did a solo song that he had written, and we recorded for like 10 hours, and I did like 4 or 5 hours of editing, and just for a 3-minute, 30-second video. And I'm like, holy shit, this is so much more work than I thought. But damn it, when I locked in and I looked up and it's 9:30, holy shit, it was like 5 o'clock, 3 hours, 10 minutes ago, whatever.
Yeah. And you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, it was a great time. But then I'm exhausted once I realize what time it is. Time catches up, you know?
Right.
Aha, time machine, yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
The references just flow sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things too, is that you know, a lot of what I'm doing is it's not so much taking you know, new filmmakers and saying do it like this. It's more about again creating that space so that they can explore. So
You're
that
giving
they
them the
can-
tools.
Yeah, they can discover, you know.
That's amazing.
Find your own style, because, you know, your style might be different than your style of filmmaking, you know.
It's not a standardized test where everybody's going to score the same.
Yeah.
That's right.
I get that. I don't know how you're so humble and so easygoing. When we first started out, we had a laptop and extended the cord into a big monitor so we could see it. And every time it would take 2 hours to edit 20 minutes worth of audio, I was like, I'm going to shoot you when I get a new PC. And he's sitting back like this, like, I love watching this guy lose his shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true.
He
Listen,
thinks it's hilarious, but I'm going through absolute hell until it's finished and I fix it. And then I'm like, oh, thank God that's over.
it's true.
Let's do it again.
I mean, you know, my guys that have been with me, they've seen me, you know, just lose it so many times. And, you know, I've given them kind of the disclaimer of saying like, hey, listen, I'm going to let you know right up front, I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And when I do, I need you to pick me up, because I'm going to do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, just, you know, really creating a team, a real team, you know, and explaining what a real team does and how they act. It's like a military, you know, special ops.
Yeah, it's
like
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
The team is different than an ensemble or a crew. It's a team because you
Right.
each have a role. You each play together, and if one link fails, it's the weak link in a chain.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the big thing that I've found is, you know, I mean, look, as a kid, I had a childhood fear of speaking in public. I was terrified to speak in public. I still get nervous. I'm still like, you know,
This doesn't feel real to me right now.
oh,
I'm
it's not. This is all an illusion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow.
You know, I'm the same way. Like, you know, unless, you know, I'm at the bar, you know, karaoke, okay, a couple beers, okay, fine, give me the mic.
Right.
But as soon as you walk in, I'm just like, oh, hell no, I ain't getting up there.
Yeah, because I was
But-
pitching the idea of coming down here last night to him before the show or after the show. I can't
Yeah, it
remember.
was- yeah.
And he was like, "Pfft." I'm like, dude, there's gonna be directors there and celebrities possibly, and I'm like, I didn't know this before last night. Me and Back to the Future Instagram, we were talking over the last few months. He goes, there's an event coming up at F22 Studios. And then I forgot how we first met online, but we were talking about the DeLorean and all this stuff. And I'm telling Matt about it last night. I'm like, dude, we got to go.
Yeah.
He goes, they're going to do another thing at the mall in October, but it's not going to be this. This is once in a lifetime. I'm supposed to be spending money on school clothes for my kid right now, but we got to fucking go. We've been waiting 30 years to stand in front of that truck or sit there and talk to a guy who built a DeLorean or the guy who's filming the stuff or all this. We got to go. And he's like, oh, man, I don't know. I said, dude, I'll break the ice. I'll talk. If they shoot me down, it's just like asking a girl out. No, you're not my type. I got no problem breaking the ice. I got no problem being the guy who be the front man. And when you see an opening and the ice is broken and they respond with, you know, a canter that you're like, hey, I could talk to this person, jump in.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we going to do? They're going to tell us no. We're going to be in the same boat we're in now.
And that's exactly what a lot of us are feeling and going through.
But nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody's talking about
They're
it.
terrified to talk about it. Like, I'm less of a man, or I'm not going to make
Right.
this work. Or like, no,
Right.
get out there and do it.
Right.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's true. It's true. Well, I'm glad you guys came. And, you know, I find that the best things in life that's the sort of first confrontation, the first
Yes.
speed bump that we hit is things like that. But on the other side of that is something really good.
Once you break that frictional force, it's a smooth roll.
And you know what I remind myself of? Is I remind myself, you know what? I'm doing what I love. I'm talking about what I love. I'm creating.
And how many people can say they're doing that?
Right, right.
We go through our normal work weeks. We're still working 40-hour jobs, but when we get off work, we're doing meetings. We're doing Sunday meetings. We're doing Zoom calls. We're planning. He's writing an episode a week in advance. And then once it gets to Friday, it's like, it's time to go home. We got to go film. We got to go film. It's time to go do a show.
Right.
We go through our week waiting for Friday to do this show.
Friday when I get out of work, I put finishing touches up on the episode, add some stuff, and I'll work out. I'll bring my notebook to work with me. And so on my lunch, I'll work on it too. So it's like most of the day, I was like, okay, so what am I going to do this week? Okay, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Where do I want to go? How am I going to, get it? And then I start, I'll have a list of stuff. It's like, okay, I got like a puzzle. I love puzzles. So I'm like, okay, so that one, I don't want to use that. So, okay, we can use that song, and then,
It'll transition into the next one.
Just start rolling with it like that.
He puts it together
too.
so there's a nice flow to it. And I'm like, 'cause he has this uncanny ability to remember references. This director worked on this score in this film, and so-and-so did this with this person, and they were also mentioned in a comic book before it was even. I'm like, how do you keep that in? How do you do that?
Right.
And that's where the idea came from, just random stuff. I've always been into movies and comics, and
So.
and I'm always like horror movies. I do not watch them, but I could tell you
he's
almost
a big pussycat.
But I could tell you almost anything about Friday 13th or because I do look up. I do read like on Wikipedia or
Okay,
whatever.
so we had a debate the other day about.
It's gonna get good.
Oh, here we go. Which is the best Friday the 13th?
Oh,
Okay,
it's like picking between children or telling your wife her cooking is not as good as your mother's or something.
I can only say this. I will tell you my choice, but it's because it was the first one I saw, and I saw it in the theater, and I was a little kid, and I was terrified. But it was my favorite one. Number 3.
Number 3.
Which was in 3D at the time.
Okay.
Okay. The reason I like number 3 is because it's when Jason got the hockey mask and truly became Jason.
And the second one, he had the burlap
So the
bag.
others to you were more like an origin story then.
I liked 4, the final chapter. I thought 4 was great. Tom Savini did the makeup.
Oh yeah. He worked on a bunch of them, I believe.
Yeah. But kind of after 4, I thought, well, all right.
More of a supernatural type.
Yeah.
And
That's the way I felt about the new Freddy Krueger. Is like they did great with the cinematography, the lighting, the editing, but Robert Englund is still alive. At least have him do a cameo. At least that way, if he's doing a cameo, it's like giving his blessing to the new guy that's doing it. But they didn't, and I'm like, and then I thought that he was the better, Freddy Krueger. I thought he was the better one, but the new one is really good.
It's crazy because, again, talking about, growing up on movies from, 80s and 90s and again, different era.
Yeah.
The takeaway that I get from it is that era, celebrities were really superstars. They were celebrities. They were
there was no
larger than
social
life.
media to,
They had
saw
presence.
them on TV.
They had charisma.
Yeah.
They walked into the room. It was like the room transformed,
Yeah.
Not so much with today's celebrities, not so much.
We make a lot of people famous for, I'm just going to say it, Hawk Tua. She's known around the world
silly
for
things.
a dirty joke,
Yeah.
which I've looked her up. She's a very humble person and all that. And she's taken that fame and used it to feed animal shelters and things like that. She's doing good with it.
In fact, we have her right here. Go on, come on in.
We're like, holy shit, what's up, future ex-wife? Let's go. But man, I could talk to you all fucking day, dude. This
Thanks,
is awesome,
man.
dude.
Thank you.
So,
Well, thanks for having me.
do you have a comfort movie that you could just watch? Just pick it up and just whenever.
It might be cheesy, but there's a few of them. But one that really strikes my memory is we were potty training my son, and he was just around 2 years old or a year old, something like that. Some amazing feat. Like he's potty training, yeah. And we went to go see Wreck-It Ralph Part 1. And we said, we're going to risk it and take him to the movies And he turned in and he goes, Dad, I got to go potty. And I'm like, okay. And we took him to the bathroom, and it was the first time in public. He did it on his own. He was getting the point, and it was during that movie. And I miss a huge section of the movie, but that movie, I'll watch it every time. I'm like, you know what? I miss him being a kid. I miss him, learning new things and thinking I'm the biggest person in the world. I'll throw that movie on, and it takes me all the way back to there. It's like smell is the strongest sense tied to memory. That one ties my emotions up more than almost any movie now.
Wow.
It just takes me right back.
That's pretty cool. It is amazing how, as filmmakers, there are those movies that made an impression, and you can pinpoint where you saw that movie, the theater that you were in.
The sights, the smells, the
Everything.
sounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's lines in that movie where Wreck-It Ralph is, sliding down the double-striped tree, and Penelope goes, "Are you a hobo?" He goes, "No, but I am busy, though." And my kid would always run into the kitchen. I'm helping Mom cook, and he goes, "Are you a hobo?" I said, "No, but I am busy, though." And he'd run out the room, and that movie it's like I've seen so many. Back to the Future, I've waited 30 years to stand in front of this truck, and that movie, Wreck-It Ralph, this kid steals my heart with that movie.
Yeah.
It's amazing. What about you?
I don't know. One of my favorite movies, man. It's not. I wouldn't.
Don't
call
tell
it
me
a,
Pretty in Pink.
No, I wouldn't call it a comfort movie, but it would be Beauty and the Beast. 'Cause my mom.
Sure.
It was probably one of the first movies that I remember my mom taking me to.
Yeah.
But now, if it was a comfort movie, I would always go to Godfather Part 2.
Okay. Okay.
That's a movie I could. I mean, I don't
Talk
care
about
how
night
long.
and day.
Yeah. See, it's just one of my favorite.
Well, you just
movies.
went from Beauty to the Beast.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Pretty much.
The best of
You
both.
didn't hear it, but I put the rim shot on there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and again, just to tell you a little bit more about what I do is I have a company. It's called Creative HQ. Website's creativehq.com, and we do film mentorships. We have students like these fine gentlemen right here that fly in from all over the world to train with me and make a movie together. And we literally, just like you guys experienced today,
Yeah.
we get on set, hands-on, we make a movie, we learn, we figure it out, we make mistakes, we grow, we make cool stuff. And this year, what are we on now, Max? How many movies? This is number 4?
Yeah, you stole my thunder. Where to reach you from? But what is the current project you're working on now?
So we just released a film. It just came out last week called Futura. It's a science fiction show. It's on YouTube.
That stuff.
Futura, it's episode 3, because believe it or not, we've done 3 episodes of this show. Well, I guess technically this year they came out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they all came out this year.
They all came out this year.
There was the other one that wasn't Futura. It was
Oh, right. So technically we did 4 films this year already. So the class is 8 weeks. So basically what we do, and this is the cool thing, is that whether you're in Fresno, whether you're in Hawaii, no matter where you're at, we do pre-production on Zoom. We get everybody on Zoom. We have a crew meeting, just like we do when we're working on regular movies where there's people all over the place, and we're going to have to all meet at one place to film.
Oh, God.
And so it's the same strategy. We do pre-production, we do our script, we do our casting, we do everything, pick our location. Guys and girls fly in, and we shoot the movie for 3-4 days, and then they fly back and we do the edit. So every 8 weeks, we're doing this. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. We've met some incredible people. And again, people that are coming in that know that they're made to make movies, and they're just looking for that path. They're just looking for that right person of, hey, who can we trust to, learn and learn these techniques? And by the way, let's demystify a lot of the rumors, a lot of the things that, it's too expensive. It's this, it's that. Really? Let's look into that, because oftentimes what I've found is that those are, really just rumors, really just fabricated untruths that we've heard.
Yeah.
So until you start really doing it and really learning the truth and really learning hey, not everything needs to, cost $10 million or $100 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everything does. You can do really well at just about any budget level. And, again, these gentlemen can tell you they've seen me in countless situations with $0, and I figure it out, and we make movie magic, and we make something happen. See, he's even saying it.
Adapt and overcome.
We absolutely,
Yep.
And we get some of our best material that way. Now, I'm not always as humble as I should be in those moments. I'm so sorry, guys. But again, these guys have my back. It's about the team. I cannot do as well without the team. I just can't.
Yeah.
As great as I am, as much as I know, and all this and all that, doesn't matter if I don't have a team of the right people.
Exactly.
And so that's really what it's about. And being able to put myself in a lot of filmmakers' situation that don't have a big budget or any budget, or that they're shooting in Alabama like Max, they're shooting in different areas that are not Los Angeles, So being able to literally do it with very little and show the filmmakers how to create resources, how to network, how to really find the right people. Even today, the workshop is only possible because I was able to network with Lance, who owns F22 Studios.
Yeah.
And again, being able to for people to understand, hey, there's sort of this higher perspective. There's this bigger picture that is beyond just their idea or their movie or their great script. There's a bigger picture, because if we're honest, we've all got great scripts and great ideas and great, but so as a collective, when we look at that bigger, broader picture, it just becomes so much more fun and just better,
Yeah.
And there's been a ton of times where we've been on set and I'm like, okay, we need a line. Max, what can they say here? Or something, and Max will be like, well, what if they say, and we will literally come up with it. And that's why, like you guys, when you came in, we just kind of got you right on a camera because there was no time to think about it. It was just like, boom, here we go. And in 90 seconds, we're shooting,
Yeah.
And
it's like,
right. And then and
Okay.
it's great, and everything was great. Because a lot of times, and I was telling these guys earlier, a lot of times what I find with filmmakers is, and I'm not trying to poo-poo filmmakers because I'm one of them. But what I find is, in terms of looking at solutions, I find there's a lot of filmmakers that have a great idea, that want to do something, but they don't pick a date and commit to it. That becomes the big challenge, is like, great, what day are we shooting?
because it gives you a goal to reach.
Right. And as simple as it sounds, a lot of people don't do that. And when you pick that date and you say, hey, listen, no matter what, we're shooting on this day. Oh, I can't, my dog, my this, grandma, you know, well, but we're shooting on this day, you know? So when you do that, it makes it real, seems so simple.
Makes it tangible.
But believe it or not, a lot of filmmakers have trouble with commitment, you know?
Yeah.
Well, they may call. I might have something better that day. Well, if I commit to that, then I can't do this if this comes up. It becomes a real challenge. But when you do commit to a date and it becomes real, the whole universe somehow magically aligns with that.
Yeah.
And you get oftentimes better than you anticipated.
Well, you can't force what isn't meant to be. And if you do, it sometimes turns out crap. But if you set a date, you're working towards it. Like we were talking yesterday, and I was like sitting there thinking, oh my God, is this going to fall into place? Is this going to work? And then let's just shoot the moon and try it, you know? And all of a sudden, things just started happening, you know?
Now you're like, I was shooting the camera, I talked to the guy, I was
holy shit,
in the
we're
car.
actually
Oh my
doing
God.
this. Yeah.
They paid us.
I was like, what the hell, man? This is bananas that it's happening. And can't thank you enough for the opportunity to sit down
I
and pick your
appreciate it.
brain. And wow.
Very
So,
welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for
Appreciate
coming.
it.
I'm
Thank you
glad.
for doing what you do and not giving up. Years ago, I'm sure there's times where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
I almost gave up last week, guys. Shit.
Here we go.
Yeah, but
Get my boots. No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
getting thick in here now.
you know, it's one of those things that like you cannot be an artist or a creative person and not have that thought. That self-doubt is something that always creeps.
Oh, it's going to
in.
happen on every level. I'm an
Yeah.
electrician in my day-to-day life, and there's times where I'm like, why am I even doing this? And then there's other days like, that's why I became an
Right.
electrician or whatever.
Right. And it's, when I meet you guys, I got my team over here. That's what keeps me going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Michael shows up, he's got a smile. He's like, come on, you're ready to go. Da, da, da.
And sometimes that pulls you right out of your funk.
Pulls me right out of the rut.
Yeah. It's infectious.
Absolutely.
But it also has the flip side, the yin to the yang of that. It could be infectious where like, oh, the mopey dude's bringing you down. And then you
Right.
have the guy like he comes in and he's like, man, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this happened. Okay, better opportunity to do this.
Right.
I seen a guy on Instagram. I forgot what his title was, but he was like, you're always saying good, no matter how bad it gets. He goes, oh, the parts didn't show up? Good. Find another way to make it work.
Yeah.
Oh, we're having a rain delay. Great. We might get a better shot in the rain. Or, hey, you lost, your tire went flat. Great. Didn't want to go to that meeting anyways. You woke up sick. Great. Didn't want to go to work. You're always saying great because if you focus on the good part, your brain's going to seek that out. And then no matter how bad it gets, you're like, well, hey, at least I can see the good in it.
It's true. It's 100% true. And by default, I know that like a lot of filmmakers, I can go victim mentality in like 0.5 of a second.
Yeah.
And it, pity party, it's just this big
Yeah,
thing.
it happens.
And sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need to vent that.
Every now and then you need to
You
break because steel didn't get strong if it didn't go through fire.
Yeah.
You got to temper.
Yeah, yes.
That's your tempering process.
Yeah, like yesterday, it was a complete shit show at work, and I was just like, oh my God. And I was like, just going back and forth, and I was just like, okay, what the hell? But damn it, I get home, I still got to finish writing. I got to get my pieces together. And I was like, okay, I got to work on that. I don't get to really relax. Like,
Yeah, get your shit together.
relax for like half an hour, and then okay, I'm going over. And then once we started recording this, like I didn't even think about what
Everything
happened
goes
at work.
away.
Right.
It was us. We got to listen to the music of John Williams. We got to talk about these movies. One of our friends came by the studio, and and it's just everything was just okay. Didn't even think about what the rest of the day.
Yeah, one of our listeners is our number one fan. She's been with us since the beginning, knows every episode count, whether we talked about this artist or not. And she hops in the chat and she goes, hey, I want to swing by the studio. I'm like, you never have to ask. Just swing by. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Come knock on the door. Let me know when you're here in the chat, and then we'll bring you in. And she brought a case of beer, and we sat there drinking beer. And then once we finished the show, we did a little after-show conversation, and we did dirty jokes and all kinds of shit. I'm going to edit into clips and just show that
great.
we're having fun behind the camera.
Yeah. And this is our job. How great is this?
Yeah.
That's
mean,
awesome.
We do all our job for free right now. You're the star. You're the one getting paid to do this. But it's the best job I've ever had, and I'm
Really
getting
is.
no money out of it, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah. It's true.
I wouldn't trade it for anything else. When he came up with the idea and we started talking and recording, yeah, I could talk to you all day.
There was another guy I was talking to, a studio owner, and we all go through these phases where we're just like, yeah, F this, F these people, F the
Yeah.
business, and he as he sort of talked it out, he said, but you know what? There's nothing else I'd rather do. There's
Yeah.
nothing else I want to do,
Exactly.
and so we all end up kind of coming back to that. But again, just being able to give people permission to be
Yeah.
able to say, hey, it's okay if you feel this way. It's okay if you're not perfect 100% of the time. You know?
You just don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
Pick
you
yourself
know?
up, take your break, get up and
Yeah.
get going again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, that's why there's a team.
Yeah.
Team comes in. There's not one guy that has all the answers.
Exactly.
There's one guy that hired the right people who have all the answers.
Yeah. Well, because in the beginning we were doing, he'd write an episode one week and I'd write an episode the next week, and then went back and forth. And then one time he goes, I want to write this one all by myself. And I'm like, okay. And he did a whole episode on Slipknot. And I sat back, and after we finished the episode and I stopped recording, I was like, that's it. That's fucking it. He goes, what? I said, you're writing every episode. Every one of them. That's your fucking job now, because there's nobody else that could do that. The
Right.
way you did it, do it all.
And they're doing the research and just.
He's got his notes.
You guys
Pads,
probably
his
do
rough
shows.
drafts.
You guys probably do shows all the time where you're like,
We do one a week. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's been 2 hours? God, it seems like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
He wrote a short episode, what is it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And next thing we know, I said,
all 3 hours.
we clipped over to a video and I muted the microphones. I said, hey, asshole, we're pushing 3 fucking hours. He goes,
card
are
is
you
full."
shitting me? I said, yeah, I told you it was an hour and 45 3 fucking times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then,
we still
but we're
had
having so much fun, we just
Yeah.
lose track of it.
And we had like 4 more songs to get through, so we kind of maybe
We
rushed.
chop them out or we do whatever,
Yeah.
and then like
Yeah.
we're right now we're putting your poor cameraman through double duty for free, and I'm sorry about that. And he's like, oh, the drama and that.
Yeah.
It's amazing, you
Yeah.
guys.
Man, I appreciate you having us here. I
Yeah.
appreciate you sitting down
Yeah.
with us.
100%, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Great
so
stuff.
One more time, where can they find you? Where can they see your work?
You can find me at creativehq.com, and you can find me on Instagram at Creative Headquarters.
Now, do you have links to the YouTube channels for this film that you have uploaded?
Yes, so on the website, you'll see all the social media links we have a Facebook group too.
Excellent.
So you can join the Facebook group. It's totally free to join. I post a lot of the tips and tricks and really cool stuff in there, events, coupons, all kinds of stuff. So definitely check out the Facebook group, creativehq.com. And if you got questions, feel free to email me, send them in, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it.
All
All right,
right,
brother. We
guys.
appreciate
All right.
it, man.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys later. See ya.
Bye.
It was a California August in '82 when my mother gave birth to the Spam Tech crew. 13 years later had me looking at Linux. Programming made me stronger like Papa the Spinach. Now, people know that a DG carry weapons, but if that weapon is a nest you step in, we finish Contra with only one life. Finish Metal Gear 2 using only a knife, right? People might think that we're frontin', then they see all the noobs online that I'm putting. My rhymes flow just like my code, even though my source is